All right. Hi, everyone. Stephanie again with the patient story, back with Michelle, who just talked about treatment, the relapse, the different watch and wait periods, clinical trial experience. You've done a lot. But Michelle, this particular segment, I'm really excited because you've dedicated your life now to patient advocacy and finding a purpose there. But you were talking about you were this career woman on this trajectory, and then boom, you get hit with this cancer diagnosis. And it was tough because it was an identity shift. So, how did you work through that?
It is such a difficult thing. And it was one of my hardest challenges with the diagnosis and trying to figure out who am I? When no one else was home except our dog, I would talk to her because she was safe. And I would just like sit on the floor and cry and say, what am I supposed to do with this? What is my purpose? I need to do something. I don't know what my purpose is. One of my friends said to me like 2 weeks after I was diagnosed, so what's your new dream? I'm like, I don't have any right now. And then that sat with me. I have no dreams because I knew that I couldn't go back to the schedule I kept in my career. Because even if you're healthy, you probably end up not healthy because you really should sleep and you shouldn't be working all those hours. So I kept trying to figure out, so what is it? So it's interesting that the day I started chemo is the day I started reporting from the infusion chair, but I didn't realize that was my purpose yet. I did it to help others and to demystify it. And I learned it actually made me feel better because even though I still didn't realize it was the purpose, it gave me a purpose and it kind of gave me a job when I went to chemo and infusion. So I didn't really think about it as much. It was just like, okay, it's my job here to report on what this feels like. And so I was living in two worlds once I started feeling better. I took on clients as a communications and PR consultant. I'd work with agencies for their clients. And I was doing my patient reporting. And then I started doing more and more in the patient influencer and advocate community. And then I went to this, I saw when the first Wonder Woman movie came out, I saw it. And I know this sounds, to some of you may sound silly, but when I saw Wonder Woman jump into battle ahead of all of the troops, men, because it was World War II in this movie, and she just went head on into battle with everything firing at her, bullets, missiles, and she used her cuffs to fight them off. Like my cuffs now.
I love them. By the way, just a quick sort of, it's been like shown throughout the interview. I'm sure people are wondering. It's a beautiful accessory, but
yeah,
the story behind it is your husband bought those for you, right? To help you because you embody this Wonder Woman spirit.
I do now. So I started using that for visualization for many things. And, I could never really get into it. And, they say meditate, visualize, different things in your body and it being disease free. So suddenly I had something, to count on. It was in my brain. I was fighting off those cancer cells. So my husband, gotta love him. He went on Etsy and got me each piece of the Wonder Woman costume uniform. He was in the military. So to him, it's my uniform. And I don't know if you can see behind me, that is a real metal shield. We're not talking like plastic here. And swords and the cape, the whole thing, the crown, I've got it. And it really, it helps me fight off my cancer in my mind, but also it's given me the power to move forward in my patient advocacy. And in fighting off my CLL, I know that I can be Wonder Woman and fight it off and be the victor and have the strength for that. And I try to think of it now as going into battle against my disease.
I think that is beautiful. And what's even more beautiful is that you are doing that for yourself, but you've also done this to help other people, which is also just so incredible, Michelle. And by the way, the point is visually, don't mess with Michelle, right? Like don't mess with her. She's gonna kick your butt. Any last thing you want to say, Michelle, about, I think, obviously, and we'll drop the links to Kicking Cancer and Heals, where you have great conversations. and it's focused on for women, which I think is a very powerful thing as well. So we'll drop links to that. But overall, in terms of where you find yourself, you're in treatment again. You are doing this patient advocacy work. For you, has the identity, I mean, it's fluid, right? But how do you feel now? And what is your guidance to other people who are also struggling with how do I live or coexist with the disease? Or how do I, continue on or find empowerment in it?
What I've done won't work for everyone, and what you've done, because we are now immersed in the cancer world for work and ourselves. But I'm able, and probably through journalism training, to separate it. And it's just when I'm doing the work, it's like, I am not the story. This is hard for me today. I'm not used to being the story. It's so much easier, right? Isn't it, to be the one asking the questions versus being the one giving the answers? So I'm able to, for me, I'm able to separate things out. There is a CLL women's support group that another CLL woman and I co-founded called CLL Women Strong. I invite any of you out there to join that, or also there are other support groups out there for virtual meetings I'm talking about. There's ANCAN, which is for all blood cancers. They're online. There are so many on Facebook. There's the CLL, it's just called CLL support group. I co-administer that with another fabulous CLL patient, Jeff Foldor. So there are just so many out there. There are CLL SLL women's groups on, there's a women's group on Facebook, but they go on and on. Find one you identify with, because, you can post things and people will answer. They'll be there to support you. And one thing you really need, you need people who understand what you're going through. And those didn't exist when I was first diagnosed. And it's also really hard to find other women and other, women who are diagnosed at a young age and going through this. And now those things do exist. So we're, it's everyone's kind of growing with technology in this, but also that you'll find kindred spirits that understand and you can identify with, because your family isn't the place to always go to for this. It's just, they're not going to understand, or friends. But don't let that get in your way of finding what's right for you. And I hope you do join us, Kicking Cancer in Heels, to see one of our Instagram lives. And Stephanie, you're going to be a guest, or maybe you'll have already been a guest by the time people see this, but you'll be able to see Stephanie on it, where I get to turn tables on her.
Oh, no, you're right. It's you're asking the questions. Michele, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for spending all this time with me and with our audience today. Your story is incredibly empowering, and I know people will find hope and inspiration and motivation in it. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, Stephanie.
And for everyone who wants to see Michele's full story, just head to thepatientstory.com, where you'll find human answers to your cancer questions. Thank you.